The real estate sector related to housing for poor is in a win-win situation whether you look from the point of view of the developer community, the end user, or the government. But even if it is so, there are so many pressing issues related to low-cost housing, and many developers often end up feeling that the risks involved with a low-margin business can sometimes take a toll on the business model itself. Usha Breco Realty is one such major player involved in quality residential projects across major cities in the country. The company will also be involved in infrastructure development of the parent company's projects. Usha Breco's focus areas include affordable housing, but now the company plans to focus on the mid-segment value housing to leverage the company's growth. When we met up with Uday Dharmadhikari, CEO of Usha Breco Realty at his office, he gave us a heretical view of the industry's prospects.
Yes, Mr. Dharmadhikari, my first question, obviously in a low-cost housing scenario, would be, what is your opinion on the proposed government move to have 35% of any construction area of housing to be reserved for low-cost housing?
This particular move, I would say that it's not bad, but it is going to cause some kind of a social problem in the place, because we need to really decide that where this 35% needs to be reserved. If in a particular construction or an housing complex, if we are planning to reserve a 35% for the low cost, then that's the society of the people are going to come in that housing complex, and that should not result at the end of the day in a social disparity which will be more dangerous rather than what is today, because once what happened, it's a human sort of a nature. When they look at it, that somebody is prospering next to them and living in a different environment and surroundings, they aspire to do that, and if they are not able to get a right means of doing that, there is a possibility of getting into a wrong means, So I think that's one of the biggest challenge which how one will face. So there need to be a proper segregation which has to be done. Like if you are saying that low cost within kind of an affordable, yes, I would say it's a very good move. But low cost within high end, I would say no to it, So this is very important, that this is the kind of a segregation will have to be done, and according to the rules have to be made,
According to you, what could be the feasible solution to it? Is it zoning? Or is it that they have completely different setup and completely different kind of area earmarked for low-cost housing from the luxury end? What could be the actual?
I would say, a particular area can be really, the zoning can be created, and in the zoning, then every zone can have a low-cost housing instead of the particular area, because that will again have a social problem. If you completely say this entire area or this zone belongs to the social low cost, that will not be. So each zone can have a low cost housing, which will really have a mix of and also allow people to integrate. And so far what we are saying is all inclusive growth or all inclusive things will really happen with that. Because completely segregating them and saying that stay away, I think that will lead to also a lot of confusion.
Mr. Dharmadhikari, there have been instances where government quarters are built in places like Kapkari or even in Malabar Hill. Now, they find the whole situation a little difficult simply because the cost of living is very high. And so most of these people rent out their houses for, the highly paid professionals. The real reason is that the cost of living in that place is high. So will that not be a same problem which will be there if you have the same kind of situation?
Government servant, I have one, they would like, they feel that they should be living in the most, sort of posh area of the town and city. But because of, as you said, the cost of living is high in that particular place, there are very few who would like to, if you say in this area where the government quarters are built in the places like Kaffarid and other things, I think those are mostly built for a middle or senior level executives, at least now. In the past years, there have been a thing that where all the housing is there. So they would always like to live there. But I would still feel that if given any kind of if there is a proper transportation and other thing, if opportunity is given to the people in Bombay still, you will find that people will go and stay for corporate and Malabar Hill and that side, irrespective of, they say cost of living is high, because cost of living is high. See, power across Mumbai is the same, water across Mumbai is the same. It's a matter of a daily needs,
Absolutely.
Unless the society charges or the maintenance charges are not high, then people will still prefer to live that side.
Okay, now let's come to the next issue of 10% of townships being reserved for affordable housing, which the rule has already been implemented. What is your opinion on that? Is it feasible in terms of a large-scale project like township, which is actually, as developers would say, that's a real good thing to do, rather than having standalone buildings where reservation is done?
No, I think the township reservation of 10% is really good. That will really allow a more and more township to be developed. That will also allow a lot of people moving out from here, for both the classes of the society to move out on those places. It again will depend. See, if suppose a 10% is reserved, now balance 90% would really certainly have a different mode of communication and transport to commute to their offices and other things. Now, will this another 10% have those facilities to commute to their workplace? So, while the move is really good to have that 10% reservation there, but it's also very important that one has to look at it, that is the infrastructure available for also those 10%, otherwise they won't move. You might create those places, but if they can't reach to their workplace from there, it has no meaning. They will see all the other 90% people are either going with the car, whether it is independent or pool car or the companies as a buses, but what for these people, So I think it's very good to have a such move, but parallelly the infrastructure, all the kind of communication or water, power, or all same facilities should be extended to them and not only to that 90% of the people.
Sure, very true. It was Scott Wrighton of Lavasa who's saying that in a township like Lavasa, you should always keep space for low-cost housing. Otherwise, the workforce will be staying outside, and the township will only be for the luxury.
So I think that's very important, and it's a very good move. It must be done, but provide a good also transport for them. Otherwise, if they don't have, they can't go out of those particular places. They will feel suffocated.
Very true, Mr. Dharmadhikari. In terms of financing of low-cost housing projects, what is your opinion on how things should change? What kind of policy changes should government bring about in terms of helping low-cost housing?
See, low-cost housing, the biggest challenge which is there are two types of people who really buy the low-cost or so-called affordable housing on that kind. One is the people from absolutely informal sector, which the people are there, who has got no salary slip, there is nothing. The second, either junior cadre of the government officers or from the private sector. Now, both these, like for even the people come from where there is no salary, or informal sector, the issue comes there that how do they get a financing, Now, whether it is a microfinance or whether it is a bank finance, it's very easy to say. But at the end of the day, how the money is recovered, and that's the biggest challenge for. So, what I personally feel that it's very important that the government needs to really provide a high amount of a subsidy there, especially low cost, where the house is 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, a kind of a thing which is there. And government-owned microfinance institution has to come. If it's a private microfinance institution, they will always look for it, how to recover the money at the end of it.
The subsidy should be in the interest component, or it should be in terms of the institution who are getting involved in it?
Basically the interest component is very small, It has to be in case of an institution which is getting involved in that, It needs to be provided to them, and that's will be very important for this which there,
Personally, Mr. Dharmadhikari, what is the lesson that you have learned from projects like Tanaji Malusari?
I would not like to comment on Tanaji Mansure and other thing, but basically there are a couple of issues which are very, very clear. One is there that if you are targeting a absolutely low cost housing, then one has to be very clear that what are you providing, what kind of a technology, what kind of facilities, what you are charging for it. It's very important that has to be very clearly informed to them well in advance. Second is, don't go by saying a booking, I have booked 1,000 apartment just by taking a 10,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees. That's not the actual booking which take place, The which really take place a ability to pay that 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs rupees which the house finally costs to the end user, And unfortunately, none of the people are able to realize or able to really gauge the ability of these people to pay back that amount. And that is the biggest challenge for all the low-cost housing projects where houses are being sold for 3 lakhs and 5 lakhs rupees. The second biggest thing is the technology. The technology is certainly being, I am always advocating a good technology to come in. But unfortunately, mindset of the people is not for the technology at this moment of particularly that class of the society. That class of the society still feel unless there is a brick and mortar, and the day number one when they enter into a house, they can modify the house. That's the challenge. So these are the things which are very important that one has to keep it in mind. Otherwise, what will happen that when we look at it very clearly, when we provide something very different, we find it that no, they can't put their names on the wall, they can't modify the things, and they say this is not a good house.
In terms of technology, there are two issues, especially in low-cost housing. One thing is about technology itself is being cheap, which essentially means the quality goes down. Second thing is that when you talk about big technologies or the latest technologies, they are quite costly for the low-cost housing developer. What's your opinion on that?
See, low-cost housing technology, one is there that unfortunately there is another that like the technology which are very expensive. They are good for a mass development of 2 million, 3 million, 4 million square feet of development. But in India, at any particular location, developing such a large low-cost housing, will it really get sold?
Okay.
Now that is one of the, if you are developing maybe 2 million or 3 million, does the demand there of that much? We say that there are 26 million, whatever the figure is coming. Okay. That is the entire country. Now if you take it each space, each location could have 1 million, could have 500,000. And this technology, if you have to erect a plant and dismantle the plant and take it somewhere else, the cost is very high. Number second is we do not have a transportation or the infrastructure network such that okay, I will set up my whole centralized plant here.
Okay.
And transport all the material from there to the different projects. Which in the West or in the European country it is still feasible because of the quality of the road network which is available, road or rail net which is unfortunately is not here. We have a ready-mix concrete which has been there for many years. We find it, if the project is 20 kilometers away, we can't transport the ready-mix concrete. And again in those projects we are using the hand mixers. It is not that in places like even Gulf, the ready-mix concrete is transported even about 80, 90, 100 kilometers.